Hey guys, welcome back. I'm sure y'all are hearing about this, and a lot of people start getting real uppity, which is part of their plans that they do. Is everything's coming out about the Hantavirus? You'll hear people say Hantavirus, and it's what is they're talking about all over the news about. It's on the cruise ship, and 3 people have already passed from it, and it's a very serious virus. So I want to talk to you about that. Knowledge is power. And because the WHO has now put it, they're getting a little hands on it, and they've got it in in their mouth about things. Then that's always a red flag to me, and should be a red flag to you, just to kind of stay. Okay, they're probably up to something, doing something. I don't know. No, maybe nothing. We can always pray for that, and more than anything, and not having fear. And when they say there's no cure and there's no, you know, XYZ for it, well, God's bigger than all of that. Just stay ahead of things and have things on hand. And let's just go over a couple things. So, the hantavirus, it is a negative strand RNA virus. Okay, so keep that in mind when you go through it. It's a virus. It's not a bacterial infection or anything like that. So that's the type of pathogen we're working with. I've talked about that through the years. Usually, this is people, if humans contact this, it's because they come in contact with a rodent, mice, rats. I've heard of it in different literature and stuff about it can come from deer. If you're in contact with an animal that is infected with this virus, and it's in their feces, their urine, or saliva. Now, usually it's something that is inhaled. If you're around that, it comes. It kind of gets in the air. It's airborne and it passes that way. But it can also come, like, if you come in contact with it as in touching and you touch your mouth, or it comes in contact with your food or your drinking water, anything like that, and you get it in that way. It was never before. It didn't pass between humans. I've talked about different pathogens and viruses like that before. Like, there's a lot of mosquito-borne illnesses. They don't pass between. Somebody could be extremely, extremely sick with something. You could be taking care of them, and you're perfectly fine, because unless the same exact mosquito gets you, but taking care of that, it didn't pass between humans. The WHO is involved, which means it doesn't mean automatically. It makes me always kind of perk up and say, have they been playing mad scientists and doing something? Because they're concerned now that it's probably spreading between humans, which is not a normal transmission of this virus. So let's talk a little bit about that. So when people get this virus, they are extremely sick, and it does have a very high fatality rate, very high. And you can get something called HPS, which is hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, which is basically you get lung failure. Or you can get, which is the more popular kind of infection, right, how you see it, or you can get HFRS, which is the renal failure part of that. It can go either way. If somebody gets this, it is extremely serious. It is like a emergency ICU type level and they usually try to do supportive care, because they claim there's no cure for it. There's no one of these things for it. Would you trust that anyways, moving along. So, my thing is, have things on hand. Don't freak out. People are like, I don't go on cruise ships. I don't go on cruise ships either, ever. I don't have a desire to do any of that. My thing is they always have a ground zero point where they start release things. Now, is that what this is? I don't know. Could truly be that is that boat was nasty, and they had these rodents and things on there that were infected, and it spread like that. Very well could be. My red flag went up when the WHO started getting involved, and they're talking about it's spreading between humans, and they're isolating people and watching them and things like that. And then people kind of scatter and they go home, and they, and the incubation time for that also is what's concerning. And you can read more in depth of that. I am going to attach just an article below. It is a certain leaning type source. I want to attach that because you'll start seeing in there, oh, the who's saying this and the who's saying that, because that's their fear factor came on, and that should be, you got to read between the lines on things like that and say, okay, have they done something? Are they playing mad scientists? Knowledge is power. So I'm going to go over a couple things. A lot of these you're going to hear them over and over. I talk about that all the time. You're going to hear them over and over. So because of that, how many years have I been telling you this? You should have so many of these things on hand all the time. It should be staples. If you have something like this and it's getting low, you should be keeping an eye on that. And there's some other things. I always talk about CS. You know what it is? Colloidal silver. Okay, that's one of those things you have on hand. Well, any of this, am I claiming any of this will cure and treat this? No, certainly not. It's just my favorites and I like y'all to have it, okay? Oil of oregano, I talk about that. The things that I can get, that's a power punch. I want you to support your immune system. Vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D3. Don't do heavy, large doses of zinc. Don't ever do that. It builds up in your system. Monolaurin would be my absolute go-to, a more than a loading dose for that. It wouldn't be a maintenance dose of that, okay? If you've seen me, I have monolaurin videos. In the monolaurin video, I know, and people still to this day, it's been years, the volume is bad on that video. I have no idea what happened. I wasn't recording it. Put on the subtitles. You'll be okay. You want to do quercetin-rich foods to help your body with that. Look it up. Echinacea, elderberry. Now let me talk about echinacea, elderberry, immune boosting, high C and zinc. If you have an autoimmune disease, if you have some weird, well, your autoimmune is already iffy, you're not supposed to take autoimmune boosters. You're not supposed to take things like echinacea, elderberry, high C. Okay, you're not supposed to do that. So be smart. You're responsible for your own self and your own health. If you are on, I always say, if you're on prescription medications, if you take a heavy amount of over-the-counter medications, it is your responsibility to speak with your doctor, do your own research, be safe, okay? Now, NAC, I've talked about NAC, and we went through this whole thing where they were pulling NAC, and I was rapidly talking about that several years ago. And of course, it's back and everything's fine now. Watch those patterns. NAC. NAC is going to help with the inflammation in your body, and it's going to help clear that out even on a cellular level, because when you have heavy loads like this, it is going to cause something like a cytokine storm, which is this horrible inflammation you can get your whole body, and you need to help clear that out. And when you have a high viral load or something going on, that can be rapid and it can be chronic. So I want you to do that. And I talk about lung stuff. You know, you're going to do your Mullen. I talk about having that is your lung tonic, it's keeping that on. And Finnegeek is another one that it helps with that. I will attach some videos. I will attach some of the videos down below. I know the volume is bad on the monolaurin one. Save your little fingers from typing and telling me. And then the one I talk about was the colloidal silver and doing the nebulizer and stuff like that. Those are things. Now, is that going to be like, this is all you need to do and you absolutely have a positive, you have this? Absolutely not. You should be doing these things anyways. If you start having symptoms, you should be doing things and have things on hand anyways. If you know a positive thing that you have been exposed, you have this, you need to get your own emergency care and do what you need. It's very serious. I want you to have things on hand. I want you to be aware and not be fearful. Okay? That is always their starting point of these things, is they create the fear and the panic and the chaos. As much as I can tell you is, don't fall into that narrative and take that bait. Please don't, okay? Stay in prayer. Ask God to protect you. Ask God to make you invisible to all the evil, to the enemy, to all of these things going on. Protect your immune system. Have things on hand. You know, if we live out in the country, you can have, now we have mice or cats all over the place, and that's never been an issue. We just keep those, several of them all around our barns and our house and stuff like that. But things like that happen, especially if you live, I would say especially if you live rural, but I've seen things in big cities that have mice and rats I just wouldn't even know what to do with. There's always those type of risk factors, okay? Those things have always been around. So be smart. And if you see those things, you need to take care of them. I have videos talk about how you naturally take care of those things so you don't have poison in your house, around your house, for other animals, you know, people or anything to get into to help. Just, you take those precautionary issues across the board on everything. And, pray and ask God to protect you, and just be aware. Just say, if I hear anything, if you know me, if I hear something that they're saying it's this, and this, and something's going on, I'll let you know, and y'all will probably hear many other places as well. So I'm just watching it, but have things on hand and know what to look for. And if you are deathly ill with something respiratory, you know your body. If you know something's going on, give yourself a peace of mind and go figure it out. Go get tested. Go see your doctor. Go whatever. Now, if you have it, that is something that needs to be. Well, they say there's no cure or treatment. That's what they're claiming right now. Maybe they're just setting this up for one of these, and it's just bogus, nothing, and it's not even real. I don't know. That's the thing with them. We don't know, and I don't try to figure it out. I take in the information. I try to give you things. I'll make sure I always have things on hand, and I trust God with the rest. Something I hope helps you guys. Everyone stay well. God bless, and I will see you next time.